Hey everyone, Written here, and tonight we're going to be doing a very special review of Warner Brothers and DC's latest superhero film, Wonder Woman, 1984. Hello everyone. Once again, Happy New Year as we boldly make our way into 2021, hoping it is nothing at all like 2020. Tonight on our agenda, we're going to be taking a quick look at Gal Gadot's and Patty Jenkins' latest creation in Wonder Woman 1984. To start, let me say that I was fairly fond of the first film and have been waiting for this movie just like everyone else for forever, it would seem. Wonder Woman 1984 came out on Christmas Day on HBO Max, and just like Disney Pixar's Soul, which we also reviewed here on the channel and which is available for you to also check out, the hype for it was incredible. The setting, style, hype, premise, villain, and anything from the title all the way down to the trailer had me hooked from Jump Street. Although rough in the beginning, Gal Gadot's acting career has grown on me, and thus far in her Hollywood productions, Patty Jenkins doesn't seem to be able to do any wrong. Chris Pine and Gadot proved to have pretty decent chemistry in the first movie, and when I found out that the sequel will be adding Kristen Wiig and Mando, Oberyn Martell himself, Pedro Pascal, I almost decided to put together a crack stealth team and raid an abandoned AMC theater with pillows and popcorn in tow. But seriously, for this movie to be taking place in the in-between time of the first film in Justice League, I came into this theatrical event, or for that matter, home event, hoping to get clarity and maybe a better story as to what Diana Prince has been up to all this time. And like everyone else, I was sort of confused by the appearance of Chris Pine in the trailers, as the last time we saw him, he was not of the living.
The way I fly, they will never find us.
I forgot to tell you.
What?
Radar.
So, getting right down to it for time's sake, I was sadly not impressed by the second outing from the aforementioned Dream Team. I went in with moderate expectations, and to my estimation, they just weren't met. The premise and plot of the movie, which kicks off with Pedro Pascal's character, Maxwell Max Lord, a failing but hilarious businessman on the search for a mystical item known as the Dreamstone. The stone eventually falls into the possession of the Smithsonian's latest hire and Diana's newest friend and soon-to-be assailant, Kristen Wiig's Barbara Ann Minerva, who, by the way, becomes the loved DC Comics character Cheetah. The two become entangled in a very weird situationship that doesn't end all that well for our favorite Amazonian. I refer to Barbara as soon-to-be assailant because of the pure savagery of a beating she will later bestow upon Diana. A couple of plot twists and turns later, with the welcome addition of some very cool but flawed action scenes, we ultimately figure out that one of the driving forces behind the movie is the reunion of Diana and her long-lost, previously dead love, Steve Trevor, who returns in the body of somebody else. And for everything the movie doesn't do well, the reunion of our star-crossed lovers does seem to be at least minimally earned. During this portion of the film, I must admit, I forced myself to just go with the story being told and tried not to ask too many questions concerning the logic and consistency of this entire situation. Although the plot had several gaping plot holes, there were present small moments of absolute charm that one just shouldn't ruin with questions. With Diana's role as the Smithsonian senior anthropologist and Minerva's role as well, whatever it is that she was, which I can't honestly remember because during her character's introduction, she rattled off like 4 to 5 very impressive titles and degrees. The dynamic we're given is very fun and enjoyable. It becomes even more interesting once Maxwell Lord enters the picture. He shows up to the museum as a donor of sorts, feigning interest, of course, in various artifacts and displays, and eventually Barbara herself. But ultimately, it's all a ploy to finally get his hands on the movie's grand wish-fulfilling MacGuffin. And once he gets it, in a rather ingenious move, I must say, instead of making one wish, he makes it so that he himself becomes the Dreamstone. Weird flex, right? Overall, though, I could just never allow myself to sit down in the film's plot vehicle. So the entire runtime of the film, which is a lot, I just felt as if I were on the sidewalk watching the film drive by very fast and not being able to read the advertisement on the passenger side doors. The new characters we're presented with, while I believe they are portrayed to the best of the cast abilities, seem to fall flat in their attempts to establish themselves in this fan-favorite canon. For me, I found it very odd and displacing that although portrayed in the trailers to be the main villain, Cheetah ends up being somewhat of a secondhand side character, sort of second fiddle Bane-esque to Maxwell's Talia al Ghul Hole on the role of the film's main villain, which really didn't lend well to the movie's plot, as there really isn't much of a perceived physical threat to our protagonist from the wish-giving, sharp-dressing snake oil salesman Lord turns out to be. While entertaining in their own regard, the action scenes weren't very polished, and although I will admit I fanboyed every time it appeared, the CGI on the Lasso of Truth left viewers wanting, to say the least. And for the Lasso and the Invisible Jet to both make cameos in the same film and still be underwhelming, that's just not a good sign. To me, for all the good the movie did manage to do in its respective high points, it was just far too long. The plot we in the cast were given just didn't seem to serve a 2.5-hour runtime, and as a result, the overall impression Wonder Woman 1984 presents suffers for it. With a sequel already in development and Wonder Woman 1984 holding the title of the most watched straight-to-streaming title of 2020, there isn't much concern as to what the poor reception of the film will do to Warner Brothers, DC, Jenkins, or Godot. As we know, it's very hard for sequels to be better than their predecessors. And when that predecessor grossed over $1 billion in domestic and international theaters before the pandemic, the sequel had to debut on streaming in, I guess it makes sense that Wonder Woman 1984 be given a nod and a pass for providing us all with some holiday entertainment. Jenkins and Godot are also currently in development for the biographical period piece Cleopatra, for which Godot will helm the role of the title character, so the duo has more than enough to keep them busy. Would I recommend this movie to you? Sure, why not? It's no worse than most of the average superhero flicks we've gotten in the past 20 years. Just be aware, it's a very long 2 hours. And if you were fan enough to stick around through the credits, we got a very cool bonus, I'd say. For those not in the know, from about 1975 to 1979, Wonder Woman actually had a live-action American television series and was portrayed by, you guessed it, none other than Linda Carter. I don't know about you, but for me, this was pretty cool. And outside of being a weird guy that caught the reference to a show that came out 20 years before my birth, that made me feel just swell. Again, guys, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and click that bell for notifications. All the necessary links are listed below to follow and to help you guys keep up with the coming content and shareables. Please also check out the channel's merch store. And if you see something you like or want to simply support, grab it. Grab it all. Thanks so much, guys and gals, for hanging around with me here today. This video has been a blast, and I'll be seeing you. But for now, be blessed. And it was written.
Across the nighttime, the city sleep inside. Yeah, hear her voice, shake my window, sweet seducing.